guys, my name is Ashley, and if you're new here, I make content to help encourage Christian singles. I just wanted to thank you guys for your continued support and watching and sharing my videos and just for commenting, and I just appreciate you being here. And my cat is coming, so I think she's going to be in the video. Bella is her name, and chaos is her game. No, she's just going to cause some chaos in my blinds. Once I move from here, I will have to replace the blinds. So that is the price you pay being a pet owner. But other than that, I feel like they've done a good job of being really good house pets. But anyways, I just wanted to give you guys an update. The last video I made was talking about Valentine's Day and just mentally and emotionally preparing for that. And I just wanted to share a few ways that God really did show up and hopefully just encourage you that God really does see us and know us. And yeah, it wasn't that a guy came into my life. But I will say that I did get surprised. My grandparents came down and surprised our family and spent that weekend with them. And my sister got me just this really beautiful bouquet of flowers. And on actual Valentine's Day, we went out to this restaurant, and my family did, and it was really cute because it was all decorated in Valentine's. And in that moment, it wasn't where I wanted to be, right? It wasn't the picture that I had, but it was still a picture of love, and for that I was grateful. And then that following Monday after Valentine's Day, when I was going to work, getting off work, I am a coffee addict, so I definitely have a problem. I think I've talked in other videos where a coffee date would be ideal for me, and there was this guy who took me on a date and he bought me 2 coffees because we sat there and talked for so long. And yeah, that was a highlight date for me, even though it did not progress. But yeah, side note on that. So I am I'm going to hit up this coffee shop that I like to go to. And when I got there, the barista asked me, he's like, "Hey, would you like some flowers?" And I was like, buy some flowers from you guys? And he's like, "No, we have these bouquets left over from Valentine's Day, and we're just giving them to people who want them." And in that moment, I knew that God had led me there. I knew that he just wanted to reassure me that he saw me, and that I got this beautiful bouquet of flowers. It was a little one, but it had a cute purple rose in it, and I took a picture, so I'll put it in the screen. But yeah, just remembering how God still sees us and God is still faithful. And as I was praying about it this Sunday, which is today, I typically film my videos on Sunday just because that's my least craziest day. I really try to be intentional about having Sunday be a day of rest, though it does not always go perfectly. But I do try to be intentional with a day of rest. But so Sunday today, the pastor was talking on Luke chapter 18 and just titling it about prayer and to continue to pray. And he was talking about the story of the I think she was a widow, but this is a story I talk about a lot on here, and just how a ungodly ruler, she kept coming to him for, I believe, protection or help of some kind, and he kept basically saying no. But because she was persistent, he's like, "Okay, well, because you won't leave me alone, I'm going to grant this to you." And basically, Jesus is telling his disciples, if a ruler who doesn't love God and who isn't a good person can do this for someone else, how much greater do you think that I'm going to do for you, who I love? And I just think a lot of times as a single, it can be very, very discouraging as you're praying and waiting for a future spouse that God sees you. It can be very discouraging that does God hear you? Is he going before your prayers? Does he even care about your prayers? And I it was like almost, I never want to say like a sermon is for you, but I really truly believe it was for me, that God was just wanting to, I guess, like encourage me, confirm that he sees me and that he is going before my prayers, and to pray continually for my future husband. Because I think, like, after this past week and going through Valentine's Day alone, I was just really reflecting on that. Like, God, do you have like a man for me? Do you have someone who loves you the most? Because it is really discouraging. I've just really had a lot of discouragement in dating, specifically around just being rejected, and for following after God, I would say, just like, I'll have these connections with people, and then like once I say that, that I'm not someone who curses, or when I watch shows or movies, I'm not allowing myself like to be in a presence of things that are demonic or evil, like, I'm not allowing that into my life. Like, I'm pursuing holiness the best of my ability. Am I perfect? No. Like, no one is perfect, but if we are following after Christ, like, our desire should be for holiness, because that is like what God has called us to walk in. And when I talk to someone about that, it's just like, I am perceived as like a foreigner. Like, I just don't think there's a lot of people who have their lives submitted to God. And when you're talking about walking in submission to God, they look at you like you are crazy. And yeah, I was just struggling with that. I was telling God, like, I could have love if I compromised. Like, I could have love if I was like sexual before marriage. And like, that is a big struggle for me, because right, you could have that connection, you could have really any dating relationship that you wanted. If you compromise in that area, it's just crazy to me, like, the amount of relationships I'm not in or could have had if I like was active in that. And I think that's the part where I get really discouraged, because it's like, God, I'm walking in faithfulness to you, like, I'm walking in holiness, but I continually get rejected because of that. And I like it plays on your emotions, it plays on like your vision of yourself, because a lot of times I'm just like, well, is there anyone like me? Like, is there anyone who wants this? Is there anyone who wants to follow after God? And am I just like an anomaly? And I'm not, like, I don't want to like pretend that I'm perfect, or pretend like I've been perfect in this area, but right, like, that's what I'm striving for. I'm not saying that I've been like this perfect Christian my whole life. I'm just saying that this is what I'm striving for. I'm striving to honor God. I'm striving to walk in holiness. And like, a side tangent on that like, because I am because I'm in this world of singleness, and just like, kind of, I don't want to say bitter, I need a different word, but just because I've been struggling in this area of wanting to be with someone and wanting to be in a relationship, and just seeing like how many relationships I could be in, but then once I talk about like sexual purity, like how instantly it gets cut off. Like, they say that prayer of um like asking God to remove someone if it's not for you. Like, that's the quickest prayer that you'll ever have answered. And I can testify that is straight facts. Like, yeah, I have never had a prayer answered that quickly. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on today is sexual purity. And I think, like, I'll use like corn, right? And even like with masturbation, those two things, I've been praying a lot about it because I'm just like, okay, God, sexual purity is so much more than like not having sex before marriage. It's am I pure before you in all aspects of my life? And like, I'm going to get emotional. Am I pure before you, God, in all aspects of my life? And I think like, especially like, I'm not a virgin, but I feel like people who are can struggle with like this like high and mighty aspect of like, I'm so much better than you because I've waited, but like in the back of their minds, they struggle with like all these sexual impure thoughts or sexual impure actions. And once again, like, I am not perfect in this area, but what God has really been, I don't want to say like convicted me of, but just in prayer, like as I'm seeking Him, is if we are like self-pleasuring ourselves or looking at porn, what we're teaching ourselves is that our gratification is more important than our holiness before the Lord. And as a single, I think it's really easy to, because no one is tracking, like there's no one really in your life that is keeping tabs on that unless you have accountability. And so, and even in accountability, you can still like lie, right? It's really between you and God, honestly. But what God has really been showing me as I've been praying about holiness and purity and walking with Him, especially like in sexual purity, is what keeping, like what staying pure really is it's learning to deny your flesh and deny yourself before the Lord. But ultimately, like as a partner, you have to learn that it's not always yourself first. And if you get in this cycle of always pleasing yourself or going to a porn to satisfy you, when you are married, that habit is not going to break just because you're married. And I think so many Christians are like under this false belief that, you know, once I'm able to like have all the sex that I want, like I'm not going to struggle with these things. But I'm here to tell you that that is a lie from the enemy, and that is not true. Like, when you get married, you as a single have conditioned yourself to please yourself and to gratify the desires of your flesh. And that will not change because you are married. And to discipline yourself now to be someone who does not allow your flesh to control how you act. And I was listening to this TikTok, and honestly, why I wanted to get on here, there's this guy, his handle is Trevor, and I really like his videos, but he was just talking, and it really like confirmed what I wanted to share on here. But like following after, like following after your own desires as a single is just teaching you like a deeper form of selfishness. And if you cannot rein that in as a single, what makes you think you're going to rein that in as a married person? And to begin to discipline yourself in the here and now. And he was saying that like we can idolize marriage. And honestly, like that's this Sunday today what the pastor was talking about. Like, how do we pray God's will? You know, when you're consistently praying and asking God for something, to pray His will, I think a lot of it is, okay, I'm desiring marriage, I'm desiring to have a husband, but is that to, like, am I desiring that to please the flesh? Like, am I desiring that because I have no self-control? And right, you're then wanting this partner so that you can fix a part of yourself that really isn't going to be fixed by a partner. And what this guy Trevor was saying is that you have to learn to sit in the uncomfortable of the battle between your flesh, and that is hard. That is really hard, especially like if you're addicted to corn. Like sitting in the battle of your flesh is truly a death to self that I know can be like seemingly impossible for you. And if you are in that spot where you feel like all you do is like fail in this area and fail in this area, I just want to encourage you that the Lord has promised you victory in this. The Lord is not a liar. And when he says that he has come to set the captives free, and when you read through Romans chapter 6, either God is a liar or you are not learning how to submit to your flesh. And I just want to say God's not a liar. So you need to learn how to submit to the Lord instead of submitting to your flesh. And that is a true death to self. But what this guy Trevor was saying is we need to learn how to come to the Lord in our weaknesses, and that's how we build like true intimacy with God. And it was kind of cool how it all tied in, because that was also another thing in church today that he was talking about, like prayer. The reason we pray shouldn't always be like requesting something from God. A lot of our prayer should be like to know God and to know his heart and to know the things that hurt him, and truly intimacy with the Lord. And I think so much of like why we struggle in the area of like sexual sin is because we don't want to give that area to God, or we don't know how to give that area to God, or we don't know how to talk to the Lord about it. So we just keep running to it as a drug to numb the pain of loneliness, or to numb the pain of disappointment, of singleness. And if you're in that cycle, or if you're in that cycle of disappointment, I just want to let you know you're not alone. But I also want to let you know that that's not where God wants you to be. God does not want you to be a slave to perversion or to any sin, but specifically the one that I'm talking about. And so how do you navigate getting rid of that? And I've talked about in my other videos, removing the things that lead you into sin, removing the things that bring you to just failure. And it seems silly, right? It seems like, well, I should be able to manage this on my own. But if you're not able to, then why continue to keep the things that make you stumble? And I've talked before about, getting phones that don't have internet, or, removing things in your life that bring you temptation, like whether that's music, whether that's certain shows, certain movies, whatever it is that triggers you. Like with food addiction, like what they teach you is like to learn, like, what are the thoughts that I get that lead me to binge eating? And then to understand like your food triggers, and then, navigating that. If you were to go to counseling, that's like what they would walk you through. But I want to say the same for like sexual sin, is learning your triggers and learning the things that lead you into those thought processes or those spirals, and beginning to put up blockades to navigate that. And we cannot do it without the Lord's help, without his strength. And so that's the other part I want to encourage you with. Like, you cannot overcome it in your own strength. And that's where it leads us into deeper intimacy with God. Really, honestly, breaking down before the Lord how you feel. Tell him your disappointments. Tell him your hurts. Tell him the pains of loneliness, and the things that you're going to like sexual sin for to numb. you have to learn to go to God for those things. And it is not going to happen overnight. Like, I don't want to say like, oh, just do this and you'll be healed. Like, it might take years of disciplining yourself. It might take, daily seconds of each day just saying, God, like, I can't believe I'm struggling with this, or I can't believe I'm thinking about this again, or I can't believe this thought is coming into mind. Like, but that's how it says to take every thought captive, and taking those thoughts and submitting them before the Lord. And I just felt really called to share this video, because I think there's way too many Christians who call themselves Christians, but they're not. They're completely deceived by this word Christian, because they go to church that they're walking with God. And that does not mean that you have relationship with him. Like, relationship with God is exactly what it says. Like, walking in relationship with him means submitting. That means talking to him. That means obeying what his word says and not living like the world lives. Like, if your life looks exactly like the world, I would challenge you, do you actually have a walk with God? Or is your walk with God just for the benefits or the perks of what Christianity brings into your life? And true Christianity is hard. Like, true Christianity is dying to your flesh and not doing the things that your flesh desires. And it really, truly leaves you set apart from the world. And that is painful. That is the pain that I'm in right now. Like, in that, but God, he is still meeting me there. Like, he's still lovingly meeting me there. And I continually go to him in that pain, and in that pain of isolation, just going to God and telling him, like, Lord, this is how I'm feeling. These are the pains that I'm going through. But help me navigate it. Help me remain steadfast. Because I'm not going to lie, like, the temptation to just do what the world does is really strong. Like, especially like just spending so many nights alone and so many weekends alone is just like, it would be so easy just to like get on an app and invite someone over, it's just like, but at the end of the day, like, I have to remember my life is not my own. My life is an offering to the Lord. And I feel, not to bring like on seriousness, but sometimes I feel like the Nacho Libre guy, like, oh, it's the best. But I do kind of feel like that sometimes, and like recenter my why. Like, am I doing all of this just to be perceived like Catholicism, just to perceive as like this perfect person? Or am I doing this because I love God the most? And that's what I really have to recenter myself in when I kind of get in these like hurtful, like pity parties of, well, God, like, all these other Christians are sleeping together, all these other Christians are living together, or all these other Christians are feeding their flesh and they're getting what they want. And I have to like recenter. I am not supposed to measure my life against what the world looks like. I'm supposed to measure my life by what the Bible says and what the Bible has called me to do. And it's not so that I can be perfect. It's so that I can be holy and pleasing before the Lord, because my life is an offering to him. And my motivation is not so that I can get something from God, but my motivation is because I love him and he died on the cross, and his love His love for me is never going to be matched by any man that ever comes into my life, because God's love is a love that I will never fully understand, because it is beyond any type of human love. And just to recenter my heart and recenter my focus, and when we're only focused on like what the world is getting and how the world operates, it's really easy to compromise, and it's really easy to live like the world lives. And, you know, I've fallen into that before. And I know, like, when you do fall into that, it just removes the joy of the Lord from your life, because you know you're separate. You know now that your prayers are not being heard, you know, because there's a separation. And so I'd rather be on the side of the narrow path and know that God is hearing me, know that He's going before me. You know, just like going through that coffee shop and getting those flowers, like, it's a simple little thing, but I know that was from God. Like, there's nothing anyone could tell me to make me believe anything different than besides the Lord saying, like, I see you and I love you. And I want you to keep fighting. I want you to keep following after me, even in the days where it's really hard, and even in the days where you feel very rejected, and you feel that, you know, there's not a man who loves me the most. I want you to walk in the faith of the things that you can't see. And yeah, and that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I thank you guys for watching. There was a comment in my last video, like, just talk about what's on your heart. So I appreciated that, because so much of like YouTubers that I watch, like, it's not that they have like these groundbreaking things to say. I just like really like them. I like their personalities. John Deloney, I listen to him like I do not miss one of his videos. If he could post more videos, that'd be great. But yeah, I'm just like, okay, maybe like the fact that I'm just talking brings you some comfort. Like, it's not that I have like groundbreaking things to say. It's just that it's like someone who you can relate to in the season that you're in. And so, even though I was tired today, I just wanted to make this video and hopefully encourage you to keep battling and to keep staying faithful before the Lord. And so, I just thank you for watching, and I pray your day is blessed. Bye.